Hello! So, today I'm doing my March wrap-up and April TBR. Have to apologize, I'm sick, so if my voice sounds a little weird, that is why. It's also this video is a couple days late, but I have a couple things to say about all these books, so let's just go on and get started. So in March, I read 7 books. Well, kind of. I'll get into that. I read 7 books. And the first book I read most of it in February, but I finished it up in March, and that was A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. This is the first book in A Song of Ice and Fire, and if you do not know what A Game of Thrones is, it's basically a high fantasy, awesome, multiple perspectives book. Yeah, it's also a TV show. And highly recommend it if you do not know anything about it. And this book I gave 4 stars, mainly because if I hadn't watched the show first, I wouldn't understand what was happening in the book, especially with like military and battle things. Also, this book is very dense, and I just struggled, and I couldn't just sit down and read it for hours on end. I had to take breaks and stuff like that. So I love the story and I love the characters and everything about it. It's just hard for me to read. The next book I read in March was Shatter Me, and I gave this 4 stars. And if you do not know what Shatter Me is about, which I don't know why you wouldn't, it's very popular, like everyone's read it, except for me. Now I have. It is a dystopian. It follows Juliet as she goes through her little dystopian world. And important thing to know about the series before you go in is it's a lot more character-centered than plot-centered. Like, it focuses on Juliet a lot more than like what's happening in our world and everything. I give it 4 stars just because I didn't really like Juliet at first. This series has excellent character development, which I'll get into more when I talk about Ignite Me, but I just didn't like her in the first book. And also, there's a lot of metaphors, and they're not bad metaphors, just the book felt like 60% metaphors, and it was kind of too much for me. After that, I read Destroy Me, which is a novella, and so I have Unite Me, and I'm counting Unite Me as one book, and even though it has 2 novellas in it, just because they're both so short. So I first read Destroy Me, which is from Warner's perspective, and I gave this 4.5 stars, and I loved it. I thought it was so good. It was so nice to learn more about Warner and understand him a little better. After that, I read Unravel Me, which I gave 4.5 stars, and I liked this one so much, and get to see more development of Juliet, and you get to really meet Kenji, who's an awesome character, and the place they go is awesome, and I love that one. And then after that, I read Fracture Me, which is a novella from Adam's perspective, and I gave that one 3 stars. I didn't really like it. I mean, it gives you information, but it also seems kind of unnecessary, and I don't know, I didn't really like it. I also don't like Adam as a character, so there's that. After that, I read Ignite Me, which I gave 5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. It was awesome. Like I said, this series has excellent character development, not only of Juliet, but also of Warner and Adam. So if you want to understand how to do good character development, or want a series with excellent character development, this is the place to go, because it's great. The only problem I had with it was the ending. It seemed like a little bit weak, but the rest of the book was so good, I still had to give it 5 stars. After that, I read Jacoby by William Ritter. And this book, going into it, I had really high expectations for this, and I had really high expectations for Shatter Me, and I think that's why I rated the first books a little lower, because I went in with really high expectations and I didn't quite meet them. I went in this book with really high expectations, and then I looked at some reviews that weren't very good, and that lowered my expectations, and then I ended up enjoying the book a lot. I love Abigail. She's the I don't know if she's the main character, I guess, so the book's called Jacoby, but it follows her and as she becomes Jacoby's assistant and everything, and I love the characters in this, love the story. If you like Sherlock, I've heard going this, if you like Sherlock and Doctor Who. I don't watch Doctor Who, I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan, but I'm a big Sherlock fan, and it definitely fits up to those expectations. And it's about a detective, and he just investigates crimes where he thinks like supernatural beings are involved, like ghosts and stuff like that, and monsters, basically. It's a very, very good book. I gave this 4.5 stars. The last book I started and finished in March was Before I Go to Sleep, and this is by S.J. Watson. This book was so good. I gave this 4.5 stars as well. I still think about it today. It was so good. There's so much going on. This is like a thriller, mystery type of thing, I guess, kind of. It follows this woman who she has amnesia, and every day, it's kind of like 50 First Dates, where she wakes up and she doesn't really remember what has happened in years. And so every day is a new day for her, and she doesn't remember anything else. She starts writing down in her journal what happens every day, and then every day she rereads it. so she kind of understands where she's at, and she begins to remember other things, and then she realizes that her husband is lying to her and other people are lying to her, and she doesn't know what to believe and what's true and what's not. And it's so good. And I kept changing my mind about what was going on in this, and it keeps you on your toes. And I don't want to say much more because I don't want to give anything away. This book is just great. Great. Now on to my April TBR. First book I'm going to read in April is A Clash of Kings, and I know what you're thinking. Didn't you have that for your March TBR? I did. Read it like 100 pages. Yeah. I am going to finish this month. Hopefully. I'm going to commit to it more than I did in March. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. This is the second book in A Song of Ice and Fire. Next, I'm going to be continuing Red Queen. I'm about halfway through. This is a buddy read with Krista, and so just haven't had a chance to finish it yet, so hopefully we'll get around to finishing this eventually. Then, for the rest of April, I don't really have a lot of plans for what to read. The next few weeks are really busy with school, and I have finals, and I'm going, at the end of the month, out of state. I'm going to Colorado for my brother's wedding, and so I will probably be working on the Chronicles of Narnia because I have a bind-up of that, and I'm going to bring that with me when I travel. So I'll start that series and maybe finish in May. And that is really all I have planned for April. If I read other things, I'm just going to go with the flow and pick up whatever I'm feeling. So that is it for today. Let me know what you're reading this month, and let me know your thoughts on the books that I mentioned in this video, and I will see you all next time. Bye. Are you filming?
Yeah.
To pull up my reviews because I forget my other ratings for all these books, even though I just did this video again.
I know how to make things aesthetically pleasing.